Welcome to the Today's Money Masters. I'm your host, Jean-Paul Menu. The Today's Money Masters competition places 3 professional investors together and a novice, each provided with $500,000 to invest. The participants will invest in stocks, bonds, and collective investment schemes. They will share their strategies over a 1-year period, at the end of which the top portfolio manager will get to keep 50% of his total earnings. Now let's continue with the masters on this very exciting journey. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever been interested in an IPO but didn't have the time to go in branch and submit all the documents? We've got a solution for that. With NCB Capital Markets Go IPO portal, you can submit and track your IPO application from any of your favorite devices. No need to go in branch. No need to contact a wealth advisor. No extra fees. And it's accessible to both NCB and non-NCB clients for all our offers. So no excuses. Investing is easier with Go IPO. Visit www.goipo.jncb.com or text Go IPO to 876-383-1729 and start investing today.
Welcome back to the Masters competition. We're talking with Timar Jackson today, one of our investors from the NCB Capital Markets Limited. Timar, Carreras Group seems to be doing pretty well. It's a pretty hot stock these days. What are your views on it, and do you have any plans on investing in that company?
Well, JP, I'm not sure I agree with you in terms of it being a hot stock.
Okay.
When you look at it, Carrera's stock price has been range bound between $7 and $9 for most of 2019.
Okay.
All right, which means that you can say the stock pretty much has been trading fairly stable.
Okay.
Right. In terms of just the outlook for the stock, what we've seen over the past couple of years, the government has been levying a lot of excise tax on cigarette. That's because of the health concerns that they have, and it goes along with the no sugar or low sugar regime that they're enforcing, and also the environmental stuff that they're putting in terms of banning styrofoams and all of that, right? So the government seems to be very resolute about this type of thing. So we can expect to see further levies of taxes on the company going forward. Carreras operates in a fairly mature market as well, right? Which means, for me at least, we don't expect to see a lot of growth, right?
Okay.
And for that reason, I think that's a big part of why we're seeing that the stock is not necessarily trading up.
Okay.
All right? But the interesting thing about Carreras is that it pays very large dividends. I think Carreras' dividends historically has been somewhere in the region of about 8 and 9% annually.
Okay.
Which means that, okay, this is a dividend stock. So there are different types of stock different type of stocks that investors look at, or they look at stock for different reasons. They look at it for income, or they look at it for growth in terms of
long-term
value, right? Based on how Carreras has been performing, we would see it more as a income stock, a dividend stock.
Okay.
For this competition, I said to you earlier when I just started the competition that I'm an aggressive person. I want to see growth in terms of my capital, all right? I want capital growth. Carreras doesn't seem to be a stock that will allow me to get that sort of capital growth. Okay. Great for income, but not for capital growth, which is why I haven't added it to my portfolio.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay, that's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
So you're not as excited about it?
Not as excited. The company, its performance isn't too bad relative to the investment that is there in terms of equity. The return on equity is fairly high. I think as that last report was over 200%. And they pay out a significant portion of this in terms of dividends. So investors generally go for this stock, especially pension funds and so forth, because of the high dividend that they can get from it. And it's stable. Okay. Right? However, for me, as an individual investor, in this competition, with the likes of my fellow competitors, I can't afford to to waste time with our careers at all.
All right. Well, that's very interesting and very important in terms of the competition. That's what we're here to talk about.
Right.
Speaking of your portfolio, how is it doing? And what are your expectations in terms of stock growth for the first quarter of this 2020 financial year?
Well, I feel good about the direction of my portfolio over the last few months. I've seen where it has actually gone into the positive for the first time, thanks to Mailpack.
Okay.
And a few other strategic investments I've made, for example, JSC and Cygnus. In terms of my outlook for stocks for the first quarter of 2020, I don't expect to see a lot of activity earlier on in the year, that is for the early part of January, the first 3 weeks or so. However, I expect activity to pick up when the earnings season starts, and that runs from about the third week of January on to about mid-March.
Okay.
Right? So when the earnings start to come out, provided that they're good, we could see some serious excitement. So I'm going to watch that closely.
Okay.
However,
we're in a post-Christmas
we're in a post-Christmas period as well. People have been spending, you know, they
Right.
come back now, the decision makers are recalibrating. So,
Right.
you know, it's a fairly calm period at this time. In addition to that, we have 2 large IPOs that are expected to come within this first quarter.
Okay.
That is Trans-Jamaica Highway, which is highly anticipated, and we also have JPS, which the government announced that it will be divesting sometime soon.
Wow.
Right? I'm expecting this to happen before March. But let's see.
We'll see.
What these IPOs being in the space mean is that liquidity in terms of amount of cash investors have to use to buy and sell stocks and so forth, it's going to be limited, because a lot of persons will be cashing out of some of their existing investment positions in equity and so forth in order to ensure that they have enough cash or liquidity to invest in those huge IPOs, and they're coming for a lot of money. So we just have to watch that. So
Okay.
I think that will sort of dampen activity somewhat, because we've seen, for example, in the last quarter of 2019, where generally the market has fallen off.
Yeah.
And that's because persons were anticipating TJH to come just before Christmas.
Trans-Jamaica Highway.
Trans-Jamaica Highway,
Okay.
yes.
Right, because we've been talking about it for a little while. It was mentioned
Yes.
very early on, and it still hasn't happened.
Yes.
But you're thinking March. Your crystal
I'm
ball is
thinking
telling you
definitely
March.
before March, because I'm expecting that both will happen. I don't think they'll try to make them clash, but let's see.
Okay.
Right? So
Is there any benefit to both of them coming out same time? How would they?
no, I don't really see a
They're
benefit.
not related at all.
No, they're not.
Definitely.
I mean, the owner, pretty much who's selling is the same. That's a government.
Oh, right.
But I don't see any benefit to them coming out too close to each other, actually. It would be best if there's some space
Spread it
between
out
the
a
two,
little bit, right? Give
two
people-
IPOs. Because they're going to be fairly large, I suspect.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, that's something to look forward to.
Certainly.
And I'm glad to hear your portfolio is doing better. We will check back with you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Be back in just a bit.
Have you ever been interested in an IPO but didn't have the time to go in branch and submit all the documents? We've got a solution for that. With NCB Capital Markets Go IPO portal, you can submit and track your IPO application from any of your favorite devices. No need to go in branch. No need to contact a wealth advisor. No extra fees. And it's accessible to both NCB and non-NCB clients for all our offers. So no excuses. Investing is easier with Go IPO. Visit www.goipo.jncb.com or text Go IPO to 876-383-1729 and start investing today.
The Money Masters Funds. It's all about real growth, safety and security of your assets. The Growth Fund gives higher returns for the investor more focused on growth. Money Masters Funds, providing growth and security, performance and financial peace of mind.
We've spread our wings.
We are CUFMC, Credit Union Fund Management Company.
Trust,
Trust matters, and you can believe in our reliability.
service,
We give impeccable attention to your needs.
experience.
Careful and prudent are part of our DNA.
know-how.
After 70 years working exclusively for credit unions, now we're open to all investors. CUFMC, Credit Union Fund Management Company.
How we choose to invest our time today often has a propelling effect for what we gain tomorrow. It's like investing in shares.
Mommy, is this a share?
Yes, you know, she's right. It's similar to how shares work. Companies are publicly listed on the Jamaica stock market. These companies are divided into pieces, and these pieces are what are called shares. The owners of these shares are called shareholders.
This has been Timar Jackson giving us his financial thoughts this week. Thanks, Timar. Always a pleasure. Join us next week, same time, for the Masters competition as we meet another participant. Follow the pros and the one novice each week on the Masters competition. Click the like button and subscribe to the Today's Money YouTube channel. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Listen and analyze the strategies with the Masters on RJR 94 FM Thursdays at 8:45 a.m. as they challenge each other to stay ahead. And also look out for the portfolios in the Sunday Gleaner. The Masters competition is a product of Today's Money Limited, brought to you in partnership with NCB Capital Markets Limited, Money Masters Limited, Credit Union Fund Management Company Limited, and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I'm Jean-Paul Manu. The Masters is another fine product from Today's Money Limited.